podcast listeners, if you hear my voice right now, I need you to do something for me. I want you to take out your phone or on your computer, go to Apple Podcasts, search for Ask Your Oldhead podcast. You'll see my logo, my little picture, my little image there. Find the show. Please rate and write a review. It's a small thing, but it helps others find this work and find what I'm doing here. And it really, really matters, as small as that may seem. So if you could please do that before we get into the show, I would much appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Let's get into it. Peace. Peace. I'm Justice.
My brother, Justice Rajee.
Man. So it is the full, we're fully into the summer, and something that came to my mind was the especially when we were younger, being when you were young, and that I have a teenager who had their first their first first job, although it's not just a summer job, but they also got a summer job. And I was thinking about, first jobs, and especially sort of the concept of summer jobs, it's from everything from, just a way to make money, which I think was the model or the idea when we were growing up. I feel like, at least I would see on TV, was the idea that teenagers get a job in the summer somewhere. Not necessarily that I always experienced that. And then, my first summer job that I had, one, was through like a program, which we'll get to in a second. So I thought maybe we could start off with, because this would be the point for most, if you were a youth who was got hooked up some kind of program, this would usually be the point by which you were actually working, right? Like you might have had where, program started, school, I know some of y'all from other parts of the country where school ends like the first week of June. I grew up in New Jersey, school didn't end until almost the middle of the month of June. Damn near the end.
Yeah, that's like a new school. It's definitely a new school thing of like when school ends. Like I remember that was a very, respect to all my brothers and sisters down south. That was a very southern thing when school started so early. Like, remember when school didn't start until after Labor Day?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And like, Messiah school start like on the 17th this year.
Ooh.
Like August.
Man.
Yeah, man. Like, I was like, damn, dog, it sucks to be you.
Summer's over, huh?
Summer's over, huh? You gotta go back to school in a minute. You gotta like get yourself together, Jack. But yeah, so that's for sure. School definitely starts and ends earlier now.
Yeah. So I just was thinking about that for a second and wanting to shed some light or sort of the value, summer job, summer experience that's productive, especially as you get older. Like my own progression as like a kid was like summers where I go, we would be with a family member or, we had 1 year we like I guess babysitter, we dropped off at what's name house. We'd be over there until my mom got off work. It would be we get picked up.
Right.
Some there was like a couple summers though. Got to go to like a day camp, and then I got old enough. Was like, yeah, y'all good. Y'all could just wing it.
Figure it out. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you gonna be all right. Like
which is just real quick, it's two things. It's like one thing that doesn't happen with young people anymore. Like we don't wing nothing. Like everything is planned, everything is structured. Where like, you had that idea, like that weird age in between where like a summer camp where you wasn't really trying to go to the summer camp no more, but you might not have been ready to work. And depending on your sports thing, and it just was like, all right, we'll figure it out.
Right.
Like
it's some food there's some leftovers in the refrigerator.
Right. Here's food or money or a thing you should go do.
Don't let nobody know you in the house by yourself.
Right. Don't destroy everything.
You could go to the corner. You go to the store and get you some, some ice cream or something, or a fruit pop or whatever.
Yeah. Don't burn the house down.
So with that, I thought maybe just making a space a moment. And I start off, one of my, and I may have spoken on it before, but I think it's important. Just one of my first, like, full time summer job, meaning, when we worked like 30 hours, I think approximately 30, 32 hours a week. So we was like Monday through Friday. Friday, we got off early. You know what I'm saying? And it was working for basically for the township, like for the school system. And it was through, like a program. You had to go be means tested to get the job. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't just get the job because you wanted the job. So it was a bit of that, like,
AKA your family couldn't make a lot of money.
you didn't make enough money, and
Means tested.
and we thought that might mean, you was, as I look at it now, like definitely oh, y'all must be wayward youth. You know what I'm saying? Y'all might be into stuff. You gotta make sure y'all don't be out here causing trouble all summer. So, at least that's subtext. And what we did was basically moved furniture from, for the school district. It's like 13 elementary schools, high school, middle school, moving stuff. And then, they ain't always have stuff for us to do. So sometimes it'd be like, yeah, we're gonna go back. We had one school that we were at, which was like the headquarters. That's where we would be. And then, all right, we got a job. We got 2 assignments. We're gonna do those 2 assignments, and depending on what's happening, we go back for lunch, and then we might just be there the rest of the afternoon because there wasn't nothing else to do. We'd be like, y'all go play some basketball in the gym / cafeteria area. We did have some days, where we had a lot of work. A lot of, old metal chairs and that ceramic material top. I don't know what them tables and chairs is made out of, but that stuff wasn't always light. And it was a learning experience. The thing I look back at it now and always ask myself was the dude who was in charge of us, who had no sort of youth service dimension to his management of us. Like, it wasn't no like, hey man, let's circle up, young brothers, talk about your futures. Like, it was none of that.
New stuff, man. Listen, man. That is new shit, man. Like, I don't care if it's the counselors of the past. It might have just been the 80s. It might have been this interesting space between the Black Power movement and like, now times. But like the 80s was not a time unless you were at a very specific, intentional kind of place where anyone was exhibiting kind of like developmentally appropriate things for kids of young people of how they should learn to work. It just was like, it'd be like the dude with the cigar in his mouth. Hey, what y'all doing over there? Cart, come over here, fix this over here.
Yeah, man. It was strictly like some Lord of the Flies shit. Some days it would be like, all right, y'all, y'all be in there. You go chill in the office, and it was fights, and what I mean, and people trying to challenge people. Like, I had an incident. Allegedly, I ain't gonna speak on it. But I'll say this:
hey,
is that I gave...
allegedly, you said allegedly like it was the Rico Act or was some like so allegedly they say I was with the Colombians.
Just in case, you never know, man. But I'll say that I because of my old demeanor, I did not. I turned down an altercation because the person really didn't, want to have a fight with me. But they was, getting pumped up, and I was like, I don't try to stick to my morals. I was like, I don't fight people that actually don't have a problem with me. I'm, not going to do it. And more complicated story.
Just you've always been a gentleman in this.
Yeah, but I just want the world to know that man got a pass. I wanted to murder that person, but I let it go. I let it go. I said, you know what? Allegedly, I wanted to. I may have went home and thought about strategies. Later, I said, you know what? It's all good. You just gotta let that shit go. But the the long and the short of it, like, was though, like, so the dude and the cat that would manage. Like, the other thing I think about is like what was his job? Because it definitely was like a, he worked for the township of Willingboro / the school district. I have no idea what that man's job title was. I don't know how much they was paying him to drive us around in the little yellow bus that he was spitting.
Clearly, it was an extra part of his job that allowed him to work all year.
Yeah,
and gave him
yeah.
the youth program.
Yeah, but he was, this was not there was no, again, no developmental support component, none of that. And then we had to do worker papers, and we had to get all our little paperwork in and stuff. I remember that. I'm trying to remember the day, but outside of the money, which I mean, I did actually appreciate, because I made, being what at the time, for a person that had no job and no income, was like, yeah, man, I think it wasn't 5:15 yet in New Jersey. It may have been 4 or something. I don't actually remember, but it was like, yeah, I'm gonna get my own sneakers. You know what I'm saying? When the school year start, I was like, I gotta get beat. Mom don't gotta get me no sneakers, which she did not. You better say that. That
Because
summer
she knew
money.
you had your own money. That's right.
Ain't no sneakers this year. Like, damn, America. So yeah, so that is what I say. Shout out to everybody, Williamsboro Township School District, whoever at Burlington County, whoever at Burlington County put that together. My mom's old boyfriend Ed, who took me down.
The brother that retired is probably somewhere down when they moved to North Carolina.
Right. I'm going back. I'm going back down south, man. I'm going back down south. Man, enough up here, man. It's the taxes, man. The taxes. So how about you? What's up from
so yeah, the first summer job I had actually was a an assistant with a summer camp. So it's funny as we talk about these things. I mean, obviously the current realignment of, frankly, the American economy and the work economy in America has everything different than I think how people remember it. But for sure, one other thing that was different was the federal government used to fund sports camps all across the country, and was called NYSP, National Youth Sports Program, and they have summer camps in different parts in Philadelphia. It was different parts of the city. So Temple would have one, Drexel would have one, Penn would have one, right? And it usually was kind of connected to what neighborhood you was from, as far as what camp that you went to. Sometimes even sciences and textiles, which is now Jefferson University, but sciences and textiles will have one all at Roxborough or whatever have you. But so yeah, and again, it's interesting now because it just doesn't happen anymore. But people can imagine the federal government funded kids to be able to learn sports in the summertime for free.
Yeah.
Like, our country actually provided a vital good for children and families during the summertime. What a time to be alive, right? Damn, it's crazy now to think about it like this. But so anyway, I was an assistant at the NYSP at Temple. That they had a pretty comprehensive NYSP, and a family friend, Ann Kroger, and I don't know if you and I talked about Ann Kroger, but one of the things, she was one of the first female champions at Morgan State, actually. She Baltimorean, played tennis at Morgan State with the whole black tennis culture, and then she became the coach at Haverford College.
Okay.
Eventually, and so she did this during the summertime or whatever have you, and my father, as your father did, my father also picked up tennis and was an avid tennis player, and ran with a host of avid tennis players. And I think you and my pop talked about this when y'all did John, but like people may not know, because you might see like Arthur Ashe and then like the Williams sisters, and then it's kind of like these interesting bookends of like black people in tennis. Right. Yeah. Versus where it's an entire culture all across the country of tennis players.
Yeah.
So I started playing as a young man, and around, I guess, 5th grade, started to play a lot and play more. And there was an opportunity for me to make some money feeding some of the balls to some of the kids from the neighborhood who had never played or were learning how to play. And, picking up balls, feeding balls, doing those kind of things. And I think about that opportunity in a couple ways. One, that I was fortunate that there was a relationship that my father had that actually extended social capital, that my first job could be actually doing something that I was interested in, right?
Yeah.
And the power of networks to do that. Again, wasn't making no money, $5 or whatever have you. But I would be able to be around tennis all day, play, learn from people who were good players, and just generally be in that kind of space. So just thinking about the importance of those networks, but also I guess to juxtapose the importance of the position you talked about, where it's like maybe somebody family don't know nobody, but they still can work.
Yeah.
Right. And the importance of having, again, a federal government that actually creates situations where kids can do something of some interest to teach them a skill they don't have. Man, who would have thunk it? Now, I say that as a person who represented the city in our, workforce, on our workforce board. Shout out to my man, Rob Cherry. So I know that is still present. I will say that I think for a variety of reasons, it is not as robust as it used to be. And I will make the statement that the summer youth employment world is not as robust as it could or should be. And that was something that I said then. So I'm not talking out of school. It is important too to bring up the point, of there's a lot of reasons that, Marion Barry is loved in DC. And a lot of people have challenges with that. And I don't know what to tell you about that. But, because, he was who he was. But one of the biggest things that he did that was one of the longest lasting elements of his work was made sure that every kid in DC that wanted to work had a job. Now, if you think about that, every kid who wanted a job could work. And this is the 80s and early 90s in DC. And so many people owe their first work experience to Marion Barry from the district, which again is probably one of the primary reasons he's so beloved, as far as people's history and being willing to work through whatever some of the other challenges that may have happened during his reign as mayor. But I do think it's important that, my opportunity came through a network, but I think it's important to touch on the importance of when it ain't about a network and you're really democratizing the opportunity to work.
Yeah. And I think it's, I think about it too from the perspective that, there is a value when you create an opportunity, because even like the other daughter she's got a job, at a local entertainment facility here, like the bowling and the video games and all that stuff. And then she's got this other internship that is like it's like an arts and black thing, and you do stuff, and I don't really know what they're doing, but as long as you can get over there, they like pay, you make a little money for the day, but you also do something creative, like with other folks her age, right? And when I used to work in a youth program here, especially to tell the kids, like, man, I ain't had no summer program, I ain't no after school program, nowhere to go. like they're like, man, sometimes kids be like, man, why can't we do this today? Why we gotta do that? I'm like, man, y'all should be happy you get to do something. I used to have the courts. It was like, what we gonna do at the school? Well, I'm gonna go to the house. We can go, all the code of language before you gonna go to the house and drop a deuce, and then you gonna come back outside and have fun. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, everybody knows. I'm just get it on the record. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd be like, yeah, I gotta go to the house first, because everybody, sometimes you don't want to do those things at school. So you go to the house,
yeah, because you had that pizza, you had that pizza.
And that fish had that giant Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
That Filet-O-Fish and shepherd's pie. I don't know who the person that recognized in the federal system that it was easy to get all the stuff you needed for shepherd's pie and have every summer camp or every school in the country making some variation of that damn shepherd's pie and them Sicilian slices of pizza.
Slices, baby. The hot turkey with the gravy.
Hot turkey with the gravy on it. Yeah, you knew that was an accident, literally and figuratively an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you go to the house, do whatever. They'd be like, yeah, we're gonna go to the court. Like, you go play basketball, but it wasn't no structured support. It wasn't nowhere structured for me to be on the middle of the afternoon. And damn for sure wasn't nowhere structured, especially once you got over a certain age, to be during the summer. There was nothing. And that's cool. It's not a big deal if you got a parent that's sort of home. Maybe one of your parents, either if both your parents don't work, which most people I know both their parents work, but maybe you had a parent that had an odd shift, right? So like somebody be around the crib and you wasn't just out there like winging it. Again, like and I think about from a, when I hear other people like, oh, what young people lose over the summer from education, and that impact. But I was thinking about like, yeah, when you got a bunch of, especially like 13, 14, 15, and you just ain't nowhere for you to go do something. 16, 17 for sure. Like ain't nowhere where you can go be engaged in the adult world or the pre-adult world to kind of as you're experiencing the developmental reality of like what am I actually gonna do with myself and what kind of person am I? Like, am I for myself? Because that's what's happening. And then you just nowhere to work, nowhere to learn, and so there's a value to those creative spaces.
You make a good point there, Just, because I think there is something to be said for, we talk about the summer slide, right? And kind of, or frost, or, depending on, kind of the language that's taking place in your relative halls of academia. But if you're having work experiences and building social capital experiences and building relationship experiences, those things should be seen as complements to the skills and talents that young people should be having, right? Versus, okay, you slid, quote unquote, there was a summer frost or there was a summer slide, versus looking at it that these are complementary things that you did over the summer. You learned how not to be an asshole. Right, you have to work with people. Like you learned how to save money. Like, and because we have situations now where kids, young people are coming out of school with academic awareness and not life skills, right? So, in a good world, the summer provides the space to develop some of the skills that maybe, schools don't do as much. You know what I mean? So just thinking about it, like, versus us focusing so much on academics that we're not actually helping produce full people. You know what I mean?
So, I think it's, leading to the second thing I wanted to touch on with this, heat wave and the reality that sometimes, structured facility spaces, libraries, if you have school buildings that have air conditioning, that if them places can be activated, you get kids that would be outside, somewhere sweating bullets, get them off the street, get them inside, do something fun. And it's every year here, especially, people play about the rain and and then eventually the summer comes. And every summer I've been here. I mean, and this is not in any check on global warming. That's an affirmation. Our planet's climate is changing. But every summer I've been here, it's been hot. There's a point where somewhere it's like, oh, it's not, and then suddenly it's hot. And there's weeks when it's worse than others. Now these last 2 years last 2 or 3 years, especially, we've had these heat domes. I wasn't here last year when it got up to like 115, 110, which is super crazy. You know what I'm saying? For here, I mean, like it's gonna be 100 here more than likely. It's probably 100 in spots already today, but through this week, and the amount of things that get exposed when you have these severe heat events that, we have a lot of us live in buildings that made the assumption that it's never going to be that hot. and therefore it's not actually sufficient, to either properly insulate. Even if you got some sort of cooling mechanisms or devices, it can't quite get the job done because it's still too hot. Not to mention, all the other, realities of, like, you live in the apartment building, but they ain't done no work on that. They do as little work on that building as they possibly can. So no, the insulation on the top floor has not been redone. Ain't nobody checked that of the wall insulation that was originally built. You know what I'm saying? The electrical system in the building can't really take but so many air conditioning units. So that's why they don't let you get a window unit. Like all of these other factors that come up when, these years. And it's, quite frankly, something for everybody in the country. And I think folks are recognizing now. Wherever you live, at some point in the year where you're going to need countermeasures to heat. And I don't know. We had a bill this season that passed to get some funding so counties could help. Folks. When these events happen. But I know hopefully it's doing better. I haven't been able to check in with people, but I just wanted to get your thought because I know y'all in the Northeast. I think y'all are coming out of one. At least that sounds like this week.
Yeah, I mean New York had it bad. Philadelphia had it bad. We, we're in this kind of weird over the mountain and through the woods, Paris of the Appalachians type thing in the valley. But I think I wanted to touch on one of the points you made about, like, I don't know, maybe this episode should be called America. Because one of the things that we don't do is pivot well, meaning, to your point about homes were built at a certain time by certain people doing certain things, and we'll change everything in the world. We will turn, a old factory into exquisite housing. We will turn a whole bunch of stuff to be some other stuff. But we will not be able to figure out how to retrofit people's houses in a way that does not harm them, especially the elderly. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, we have not figured out a way to, for the remaining public housing we have to not be sweat boxes. Mm. And with this heat stuff, which is also, we have to look at, it's not new. Like, I was reading the other day about the infamous heat wave in Chicago in like 92. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the one that killed so many people, Black and brown people and elderly folks in particular. Mm-hmm. Right? And that was 30 years ago. Right? I remember the heat wave of 95 in Philadelphia, and like when it was 105, 106, and we got mugs is just, and with cities that are built in a dense way, which is one of the reasons London and all of Europe going through their heat wave. Again, usually our European friends have figured this stuff out, but London ain't. Yeah. But because London was built to get as many people in as humanly possible, the housing is not structured, and is structured to reflect heat onto each other's houses. So it makes it hotter and hotter, right? And so, to your point, whether you're calling it climate change or the reality of it is that, cities in particular are getting hotter. And the reality of, like, our seniors and folks in their golden years are often in more precarious positions because of senior poverty. Mm-hmm. Seniors are the largest growing number of folks who are homeless. Mm-hmm. As anyone who's aligned with AARP will tell you. And it's true. Like, this is a real challenge. And when folks are living in kind of shacking up with someone living on somebody's couch, and your older aunt is living on somebody's couch, and they're living on a couch of a crib that can't handle that heat, just all kind of things that happen to folks, and it really kind of aggravates some of their medical conditions and whatever have you. So, you know, we throw around the term public health crisis a lot, and I think because of the pandemic, we're able to be a little more thoughtful around it. Now the goofiness around monkeypox is a whole nother thing. You know, I say that for another day, but you know, I just think, you know, the heat, it becomes an important thing. I know and cities have been trying to think of creative ways. In Philly, they opened up the SEPTA buses and parked them and it let people come and like get on the bus.
Come chill on the
Now,
bus.
yeah, come sit on the bus. Now, you know, some challenges there around emissions, but
yeah,
you know, at some point you got to make some trade-offs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, some of my mobility brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying, might take some umbrage with that, but you know, when you trying to save, you know, people from dying, literally, you might have to have a bus idling a little bit.
Yeah.
For them to be able to be safe, you know. But again, I think a lot of these things become broader federal, state, and local public policy decisions, right? Because it is about how do we respond to these things.
Yeah, and it's a, you know, it's a development conversation. There's a repair, like, you know, there's a case that can be made in most cities where it would be a good use of funds to I mean, it comes up when it gets hot to go and help, you know, especially some of our seniors that are, you know, that especially that, you know, it's a part of that anti-gentrification conversation, and keeping people in their places, also helping some of our seniors like get their cribs hooked up so that they can be comfortable, right? So they can stay cool when because the hot is coming, right? You know, the outreach component to engaging to, you know, whatever the, you know, because the people sometimes got reasons that they, you know, they are standoffish or not as connected, you know what I mean, in whatever way, you know, so there's a human outreach piece that has to couple with stuff like that being effective. And I think that, you know, I think we've moved very much as a society to this sort of like the unseen hand lever action way of trying to like, well, we could do this in the market and we'll send some money out, and then the people will be motivated. And it's like, maybe sometimes, you know what you need to do? You need to get 500 air conditioners on some trucks, and you need to get some young people, and you need to get some folks that need to do something positive, or somebody looking to help to buy out. You need to drive around and talk to people and find out who need one on this block, right? And then if they need one, what do they need so they can actually use it? And then if they need it and it's going to mess up they you know, they budget, because, you know, not to mention how many folks make the trade off, you know, due to the economic cost of things, to go like, yeah, I have an air conditioner, but I don't be turning it on because it's going to make my electric bill high, right?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And we'll sit there and try to figure out, you know, how much can I take? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's in, you know, I remember that summer of '95 when it was it was 97 degrees at like midnight.
Oh man.
I was in my room sweating bullets after working. I walked back, I walked to the stove, I was working at the Wawa, I walked to the Wawa. I made sandwiches for 8 hours straight because it was too damn hot and wasn't nobody cooking. And then I walked home, it was still 96 degrees at night.
Yeah, it was nice. It was 90 degrees at midnight, man. That was and you know, we had the nerve to be wearing Timbs.
Right.
Long
tees and shit. Thick ass jean shorts.
Oh man.
So like, man, you know what I mean? We have these are things that we can do things to better prepare. I mean, not to mention, you know, growing canopy in neighborhoods so that there's trees. You know, those are not things that you can do fast though. Like if ain't nobody been able to have trees, and now it's like, yo, you know, we need some trees. It'll cool this neighborhood down. You know, I mean, tree experts jump in and correct me, but I imagine even if you could plant a dope tree, that's a 5 or 6 year before we got sufficient, you know, tree cover or some shade generated by them trees. I know just a little bit of trees, I know raises the moisture in the air, which can make it feel cooler. But you know what I'm saying? Like this is going to be an issue every year, and if we not having start having a conversation, and not just a conversation, I guess more of a like, and what you gonna do so that you know what I'm saying we can protect our families and you know definitely protect our elders. You know what I'm saying? You know, trying to keep it together, and it's hot out there, and you got infrastructure, you got old cities, you know, all that brick, and then even places the other side of the coin, places that you know, like a lot of West Coast people, oh, it's craftsman, no insulation at all. It's wood and some stucco stuff, and then some more wood. Ain't you know, some of them houses ain't got no insulation. So if it's hot outside, it's hot in there. If it's cold outside, it's cold in there. Like, you know, it's a real thing. So you know, stay frosty, popsicles, you know what I'm saying? If you have a freezer, you know what I'm saying, get you some popsicles, you know what I'm saying, bring core temperature down, drink your
Take them kids to the pool, but you watch them like a hawk watch chickens, Jack. Take them kids to the pool and somebody watch them. And, you know, this is the place where, you know, if my father and Uncle Blues over here, we talking about, and teach some black kids how to swim.
Yeah.
People, you know. So they go and really enjoy the pool, right. not to be running around trying to dunk people and put people's heads under because they can't swim. Don't you understand? These kids, man. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Yeah. So, last thing, the World Track Championships were this last week. They took place here in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon. I was able to go down on Saturday and watch the evening events on Saturday. So I got to see the 5,000 meter final, the javelin, the 4x100 relay finals, the men's and the women's. A couple other things. Shout out to the community from Tigray that was, you know, activating. You know what I'm saying? Trying to raise awareness of the violence that's going on there. Trying to get peace for Tigray. They was in the building. You know what I'm saying? And it was a interesting event, and it, you know, I had never been to an international track meet of that nature before. And obviously I've never been in that close proximity to the, you know, quite possibly, I mean, maybe not the fastest of all the fastest, but basically we could pretty much say at this moment, some of the fastest human beings that human beings have ever known, like there at the same time, you know, running. So I start with Hayward Field is like I think I feel like that's the new. I remember the other one, and I don't know if it's the same name.
Yeah, that's the new field.
So it's a track specific. You know what I'm saying? It's all advanced, kind of like a bowl, and it's got shade. The one odd thing, which I feel like I guess they just had to do it because it seems like because the athletes are shaded, but like the one side of the bowl is in the super duper sun the whole time. And I didn't know how. I found like, man, I guess they couldn't. There wasn't a way out of that. But you know, it was pretty funky. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that was interesting is like it's like you go to an event like that, and it's, you know, it's obviously it's international flavor. So it's lots of people, you know, from other countries. There's folks with different passes. There's folks that you're like, you know, they may be like friend, family to some of the athletes. You know what I mean? Because they just kind of like, they seem to be folks that were kind of like moving around, whatever. There was an open spot, they'd hop in and they'd pop out. And then, but it's like, you know, for something that was such a international event, you would think, I mean, I know people probably was watching the clips, but the way we engage with track is very like, hey, there's track. It showed up. Oh man, look how fast they are. All right. Next topic. Like, I felt like I was like uninformed. Like I didn't even know who all the runners were in the women's 4x1 for sure. I think I knew a couple of the names of the men in the as far as like the U.S. team members, like the Jamaican team. Shelly Ann Frazier was still on there. There's a couple others, but you know, I don't know. I don't know how you keep track of all this stuff to know these people, but I feel like we should. That people are like superhuman athletes. And, you know, finally be like, oh, that's a dude from Canada. All right, dude from Canada. Man, go ahead with your bad self. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I think, man. So I think about this. There's a couple of things around this. One, I think it's the goddamn LeBron James effect, man. Like, so hear me out.
All right.
There was a time where Carl Lewis, right, was almost a household name.
Mm-hmm.
People knew who Jackie Joyner Kersey was. They knew who Flo Jo was in the Olympics, but you knew who these people were. Like, they were like towering ideas in the Black community. What's my man from Michael Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ran the 400.
Yeah.
The fast ass dude from Canada that ran the one that used to go to war with Carl Lewis.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah, Ben Johnson, right? Because Ben Johnson from Canada. Michael Johnson was a brother from that ran the 400.
Yeah, ran 400.
So I think you just had like this thing. So not so long ago, I guess about 30 years ago now, right? We could name all them people like that, and they were all part of our name. You can't name one of them now, but you can name 40 people in basketball.
Right.
Right? Like the average person knows so many basketball players who didn't know all the basketball players before, right? We don't know no baseball players.
Yeah.
We don't know no baseball players. Like, the football players everyone talks about and that want to be rappers, like Antonio Brown. He performed at like Rolling Loud or some shit this year. But anyway, like, so I think it's like one of those things. Then I think also because of what kind of comes with as these sports became, basketball in particular, became all kind of dominant, a lot of the athletes who may have been doing other things, who may have been like just running track, like we don't see them as much anymore. And I think it's a shame because, to your point, when you're watching it, even a little more so than the Olympics, frankly, I would say that this World Championships really just had a high level of like performance. Like there was just a really high level of performance this year. Then the other thing part I'll say about that is like, and I'll acknowledge this is a Philadelphia bias, but I mean, you had the different relays, like you had the Penn relays, right? Where you would see a certain amount of runners. You would see the Jamaican runners. Mm-hmm. And then the Austin relays that mattered back in the day. Then you had like the track championships for HBCUs that mattered, right? Like you just had like this kind of cycle of knowing the sports, knowing the athletes, where now, and also I think they're like good for such a, not a short amount of time, but they're almost like good from like 18 to like 24, like homegirl Sydney McLaughlin yesterday, right? The fact that she won the 400 hurdles like she did, and then turned around and ran her part of the 400, she ran like a 47.6 in the 4x4 relay. After winning the what's the name yesterday and damn near setting almost a world record. So like, yeah, she's another type, but she's like she was the oldest person on the 4x4 relay team and she was 23. Yeah. Now the thing will be, by the time she's 25, I'm sure she's been running since she was 7, right? By the time she's 25 at Paris, that'll probably be it. Right? Like it's just like this, it happens so quickly, right? I think that that's also part of the challenge. One thing I did want to share too, I thought was interesting about Hayward Field and the whole like Nike athlete culture, that as much as we have come to know Nike for simply recycling the same shoe over and over again, like, I don't know if it's a testament to it or a damn shame that my son wants to wear Air Force Ones, and I don't know how to take that. Like, because then we're going back and forth. Like, should you get a high or a low and tell them to stay away from mids, just because very few people look good in the Air Force One mids. But like, so on one level, you've got this place where they're constantly just re-putting out the same variety of shoe that has little to no athletic value. Yeah. But then over here, they're totally engaged in like the element, like the extreme senses of human performance.
Right. Yeah, like futuristic design. That's carbon. It's got
Yeah.
a spring and it has a bump.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to think about that and to think about this like Oregon, like Eugene, Oregon being like rundown USA,
Yeah.
right? Like where everybody's coming to like challenge themselves. But I did, think about what we think about Nike, but then in some ways what Nike actually like invests a whole bunch of money in, which is like this human performance, athletic performance kind of space.
Yeah.
Um,
I got to say, it was I mean, shout out to Fred. Fred was determined to get down there and bought tickets, and I couldn't be down there all week, but I could get down there on Saturday. I was trying to get down there yesterday. I just didn't have the energy for the drive. It was amazing though. It was pretty, it's definitely a sight to see. And yeah, as fast as they look on TV, it's even more like, man, they are humming around that corner. Or like, even I always like the end of the long races, like the 5,000 when it's like, okay, they're just going. Then like the last part, because to me, I don't know how you still have extra fast after all that running. Like, I mean, I understand from a kinesthetic set, I understand how the body works in science, y'all. I'm saying in my mind, that's not where my my athletic gifts show up. And like, yeah, I'm gonna run this race. Then I'm gonna run for 4,000 meters, and then the last 250, I'm gonna kick on them. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't
right. I would kill them.
I'm gonna kick it out on them on that last turn. I'm gonna break, and then they go, and the sense of that one. That they did. They were doing a little team engineering and moving around, and then it was like, okay, they might catch it. And then it was like, soon as they made the turn, I was right at where the turn was before the final length to close. She made like one little movement, and then it was like, oh no, they ain't gonna catch her. She like, boop 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 boop, I'm out. Like I'm gonna crush y'all. And also, I just want to get a shot to my man from Grenada that threw the javelin. Because ain't nobody get close to his numbers. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know if in the world of javelin 2 meters ain't far, but it seemed like couldn't none of them dudes get the other 2 meters that he had on his first throw. And they was, you could see their face like after they throw the javelin, then they'd be like, dang, it's 86, not close at all. And then on his last one, he beat his own number. And I said, yeah, that's called dominating the field. And you go, yeah, only person here can beat me is me. Take that. I appreciated that. So shout out to that guy. I think his name is Peterson. I want to say what's his last name. Grenada in the house. So World Track Championships. You get a chance to go check out the track.
Yeah, man. And I definitely got it on that level. Strong shout out to my man in the pole vault who set a world record on his final jump. You know what I mean? The dude from Sweden, who actually was from Louisiana, but I guess there's a whole thing with I do guys see there's a whole thing with like global sports and like this idea like the guy's from Sweden, he's wearing a Swedish flag, but he grew up in Louisiana, but his mom was Swedish. So I guess because she was Swedish, he still could claim Swedish, kind of like residency. Yeah, and so like, I mean, it was cool that he was Swedish and he represented Sweden, but it also was like, wait, you grew up in Louisiana? Okay, well, okay. I thought you was Cajun, but that, you know what I mean? You was from Arcadia, man.
Word up. All right. Oh, I gotta have one other just public operation note. So they had, I think there was probably somewhere you could pay to park. You know what I'm saying? And then there was like the neighborhood directly adjacent to Hayward Field. You had to park across the line, was like across 25th Street, which is like 4 or 5 blocks up. And I just couldn't keep thinking like, who was in that meeting that was like, yeah, everybody across 25th Street, they could eat a dick. You know what I'm saying? If they end up, they can't park in front of their house, that's their problem. Like how did we agree that it was all right for them people to not have maybe parking when they got home, but everybody, and it was a lot of space. Like I was like, so I just thought that was hilarious. I'm sure there was a much deeper conversation and it probably wasn't so crass, but that's how I felt. It was thinking about it. It was like, if I lived across 25th Street and it's like, wait, so you saying everybody can park by my house? So why can everybody park by my house? You know what I'm saying? what's up? I don't, I don't see that. Like, let them park over there. Like, you wanted to live over there. You know what I'm saying? Let them park by your house. But anyway, so that was hilarious. Because I could just imagine being real upset when I found out, like, hey, baby, what's all these cars on the street for? Oh, it's the world track this week. Well, I gotta get my truck. Like, just
I gotta get my truck. Right?
I gotta get my stuff out the car. I got some timber coming in, or about to do the mulch, like, whatever house stuff people is into. And now it's 27 cars parked on your street that ain't normally there. I guess people go home at night or they go to their Airbnbs, but just a public conversation note. Just there's an event, cars and the people got to go somewhere. So.
Well, I mean, and I'll just say this quickly. That's one of the challenges is like, where do you do things? And, if you do things in Eugene, Oregon, either you create a huge parking lot or someone's going to invade a neighborhood. And that's the reality of density. And, America, we ain't really figured out how to get good Amtrak to places and then people could just make their next move. Right.
There's a whole movement trying to get high-speed rail, basically from the lower Willamette Valley, like Eugene up to Portland to Seattle. And it would have been fantastic if I could have hopped on a 30-minute train yesterday afternoon, went and enjoyed the meet and hopped back on the train and took a 30-minute ride back. I totally did it, Eugene. I'd spent my money too. I'd ate some food. But can't have nice things in America, unfortunately.
Well, that's the challenge. Like, we assume that people won't get on trains and stuff and high speed rail, but interesting thing happens once you leave America. People do, and even more than that, they do in the Northeastern Corridor. Man. It's nothing for people to get on a train from New York to DC every day.
Yep.
Right? Like, so, it's something to think about. There's a chicken and egg element of public policy sometimes where people don't use the thing, but they don't use the thing because you don't give them the thing to use. Sometimes you have to set the parade, you have to set the precedent to give people a thing to use so then they can use the thing and see if they use it. So anyway.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, I mean, that's all I had. You know what I'm saying? Always.
All to the good. America.
I mean, stay cool out there, man. Get a popsicle or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. All right. That fan keep blowing that hot air too.
Right. It was blowing hot air around the room.
Yeah.
Like a rotisserie chicken right now. Just
blowing hot
air. So with that, I'll say peace.
Peace.
Why can't I find the thing to tell it to stop recording? Oh, because it's over there. Thank you for listening to Good Brothers. Thank you to my good brother, I'm Majestic. As I've said once again, do my best to get these out regularly, and I really, 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 really mean it. Very soon they'll be overflowing with regular, sessions and conversations. Some like the Good Brothers, some in other forms. It's all coming. I'm not bullshitting. But in any event, if you want to support the podcast, the best thing you can do is listen to the podcast. Then please go wherever you listen, rate, subscribe, share, pass it to a friend, let somebody else listen. And if it's is useful or brings something good to you, pass it on to somebody else so maybe it can bring something to them. Other ways you can support is search up Justice Rajee on Patreon and become a patron, and give ongoing support to our various creative expressions and endeavors. I appreciate you for listening, and please be safe. One love to everybody out there running fast, and working hard. Even for folks, running slow to moderate or just trotting the best they can. I appreciate you and say safe. Peace.